Hello and welcome to the Brand Odyssey podcast. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Miranda, and we are two designers from brand agency 3 Blocks Left. We're here to take you on an exploration of what goes right and what goes really wrong in design, branding, and the creative universe.
So hop in, pop on your seatbelts because we are going on a brand odyssey. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Brand Odyssey.
Yes, I'm excited to be going on this voyage with you, Kylie, into the treacherous worlds of creativity.
So because it is our first episode, we thought we would give a little bit of an explainer about what we're going to be doing. So every episode, Miranda and I will tell each other a story that the other hasn't heard before. And one will be where creativity triumphs and the other where the wheels fall off. And we're going to unpack what's happened and have a little bit of banter.
Yeah, so to get everyone up to speed on the Brand Odyssey lingo, we're going to be calling those stories our creative makes and creative breaks. So obviously the make is the story where creativity wins and the break is where things have gone a little bit pear-shaped. So Kylie mentioned we're going to do a little cute backstory on how we decided to come up with Brand Odyssey, the podcast. So me and Kylie work together and we catch up to discuss important work items, and sometimes we fall into what we call chat holes instead, which is basically discussing anything but the thing that we actually scheduled to talk about.
We noticed this most when we had to start doing this on Zoom, when Zoom was 45 minutes and we'd get to the end of a 45-minute session, we hadn't touched the work in progress list. We'd just been randomly chatting about who knows what.
This is why we flourish when we have a studio manager or a minder to keep us on track. We need a minder for our whips. But anyway, this one day I was talking about how I had travelled the iconic stretch of highway that goes between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So any loyal Southeast Queenslander will know this bit of highway well. So anyway, I had gone down on the weekend and I was telling Kylie about this little/big sign sculpture piece that sits along the highway as you officially leave Brisbane and enter into the sunny Gold Coast. So this sign was designed and commissioned around the time of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games to spell out Gold Coast using street lamps, and they were set at different levels. So I'm going to try and describe it the best I can. If you can imagine these big street lamps and they've set each lamp part at different levels, so it creates kind of a dotted version of a letter, like a dotted version of a G.
I might interrupt and just say that we've also got an Instagram account called @BrandOdyssey. And so we're going to, as we do episodes, put visual references up there. So you might want to follow along there. And then it's an easy reference guide to anything we're talking about that's visual, because as we have discovered, talking about visual things on a podcast does have inherent limitations.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off us if you just check out the socials and maybe just do a little follow as well. Yeah. We don't mind. But yes, these lamps are all at different levels. And I mean, I don't know what you think, Kylie, but it sounds big, eye-catching. It's using interesting media. It's street related.
Absolutely. It feels very responding to the environment, right?
Yeah.
It's very urban.
Gold Coast up in lights. Amazing. But there was a problem, and it's a big problem, and that's when they installed the sign. The way the traffic goes means instead of seeing this beautiful light and word display, all you see is a jumbled mess of light posts and lamps.
It still makes me laugh.
It's so good.
Gosh, I laughed when you told me this originally.
You actually couldn't stop all day long. I think you took it with you for days, just with the giggles.
Yeah, it really hit my funny bone. But sometimes your funny bone's just gagging for a hit, you know?
You're like, I'm ready for this. This is going to be what keeps me going through life.
Exactly.
But basically, perspective and direction, they put the sign the wrong way around, which is also the only way round you can put it, because you can't put a bunch of light posts in the middle of one of Australia's biggest highways. That would be difficult for the traffic.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how many eyes are on a project or how much money is being invested into it, these big gaping holes can happen.
Yeah. I think that's the funny bit. It baffles me how it got off the boardroom table, how it got the signature to say, go ahead, and no one really thought about this really crucial element that thousands of people will be going past every day and not actually see what it spells out.
Yeah, perspective.
Yeah, quite important
user
detail.
Experience, yeah.
I think it's also probably worth a mention that it did cost council around $2 million. Yeah, it's big dollars. And effectively across from the highway, there's this hill and there's a scattering of residential houses, and they are the people who get to enjoy a daily light-up show that spells the Gold Coast.
Yeah, so they won out.
They won out.
Well, it's a creative win for them.
Well, I mean, their house prices probably went up. I dug a bit deeper into my investigative journalism, aka Google search, and I found the original article from the Gold Coast Bulletin announcing the sign. And it went with the headline, 11-metre highlights set to welcome visitors to the Gold Coast. Get your first look at the glitter strip's answer to a Hollywood icon, which is set to shine. Oh, I know it breaks your heart, doesn't it? The enthusiasm in the room, but the big, massive detail that was somehow forgotten. And also, funnily, I mean, so much doesn't make sense, but when they are talking about the Hollywood sign is on a hill. So why not? Why didn't they put the sign on the hill? So I did a little bit more sleuthing.
Oh my God, you've gone deep.
I've gone deep because in this article they also mentioned, which I didn't know, that the agency, I was always
same article.
Same article.
So you haven't gone that much deep.
No,
I just actually read the article.
I scrolled quickly.
Yeah.
So power to me, but I found out that, and often with this story, we were thinking, we were feeling sorry for the artist because it's a horrible feeling to have a high of winning an amazing piece of work and then to have
public sculpture, and then to have iconic
public scrutiny come your way instead. But I don't think they're going to care that much. And the reason I don't think they're going to care that much is because Low Tech, the agency, they're actually in New York.
Oh. What?
No.
Yes. Oh my God.
Which is bizarre. Straight out of New York.
They hire someone local?
Well, what they said was
Did they do any site visits?
Well, I'm not sure, but what they said is they gave so they gave $2 million to the agency in New York. Oh, well, maybe not 2 million, but that was, part of this construction budget. And then they had a $10,000 scholarship for a local artist to work and learn alongside Low Tech. I know, but
that makes me feel.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, it does actually. It makes the story kind of better because then I'm not feeling like I'm hating on an artist.
Exactly, they're far enough removed, and I thought, well, Low Tech obviously will not be displaying this particular project on their current website. They are. It's up there. So they're not sad. Anyway, this got us laughing. And I guess we have a little bit of sympathy for creatives. We have to put things out in the world all the time to be judged, which is okay. But there's always, I don't know about you, but I still have that little fear every time I hit upload or send. Is everything on point? Did we miss something? And things go wrong.
Well, funny you should bring that up. I was thinking, because obviously I knew that we were going to be talking about this particular story today, and I was thinking about how much it did make me laugh, and then I remembered another one of your stories that made me laugh.
No. Can
we bring it up?
It's early in my career.
Exactly. It was way early in your career, but it just made me laugh so much.
Yeah, this one I think you still laugh to maybe 6 months later.
I still laugh about. Well, when I remembered it, I started actually laughing out loud again.
You have to learn lessons in life, and sometimes you learn those lessons the hard way. And Kylie, this one was me. Yes, working in my designer at a pub syndicate days, which is funny in itself. Where I used to work inside a little office inside the pub, and I sent a poster to print. And instead of putting the website, this is an A1 poster, big size, and instead of putting the website of the hotel bar, I put my email address. Print. Still funny. Can I get it together?
Hotmail account.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So, who are we to judge?
I love that story so much. Gosh, it makes me laugh.
I'm glad it wasn't like a $40,000 print run or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. Basically, you got to cross your T's and dot your I's.
Yeah.
Everyone?
A good lesson.
I was only 21.
Exactly. We all make mistakes.
Anyway,
oh, dear.
So we thought there would be a whole hilarious bank of these stories of creativity gone awry, and it might be funny and a little bit informative to share and maybe unpack those ideas. But we also didn't want to do an injustice to creativity, which is responsible for so much wonder and progression. So we thought we'd do a little pep-up story as well with some positivity, which is our creative makes, which leads me into my creative make of the week. And I thought I'd balance my sign gone wrong with sign gone right. And each week, me and Kylie also will give each other clues. So I'm going to give you your clues now, Kylie. So this is another welcome to city sign, but this one is world famous. It's crossed over from humble sign into cultural and historic landmark. Tourists want to take their photos out the front and leave with a key ring. It's kitsch. It's cute. It's the
Las Vegas sign.
Yes. We've already touched on the Hollywood sign. It's basically the only other contender.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think she's going to do the Hollywood sign. That's what I had in my head.
Yes, no. So I did a quick Google about the top 10 city signs.
The kitchen cute gave it away.
Yeah, definitely. I did find one article with the top 10 city signs, and it included only 5 signs in it. So I think it might be a pretty niche subject.
Ran out of steam.
It ran out of steam. But that's why.
Another 21-year-old.
But yeah, I do think that Las Vegas sign holds that position, top dog position, as even number one, battling it out with Hollywood sign due to its beautiful design and backstory. So I didn't know this, but the full sign actually says, "Welcome to the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada." And it was
I didn't know that either.
No, yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, that makes it even better.
It is better.
Fabulous.
And it is fabulous, but it was built in...
Have you ever been to Las Vegas?
No, I haven't.
No, me neither.
Not something that I have on the bucket list necessarily.
No, I feel like my Las Vegas days might be behind me, like Burning Man.
Yeah, maybe we missed the boat. In general, the region I love, Palm Springs and Los Angeles.
Yes, like
desert. It's kind of its own thing. It's cool. It's uplifting part of the world, I believe.
Optimistic,
and it's all about fun
until you leave.
Yeah, you leave with a 2-week hangover. But
zero serotonin.
The sign's actually located just outside of Vegas in a town called Paradise.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah, on brand for the area. Again, I'm going to use my descriptive powers to describe the Vegas sign, but I think everyone knows it, so it won't be quite as difficult. But it's that white diamond shape with a yellow outline and the light bulbs on the outside. For typography nerds, it's a bit of a gold mine because there are 5 retro fonts used in red and blue.
And it's quite a skill to balance all of those.
Definitely.
Fonts.
Yeah, each word has its own font, and notably the welcome is made up of using 7 silver dollars. A little nod to the going-ons of the city. And there's also a little sparkle on top, again, symbolic of the magic of Las Vegas. So the sign itself sits within the Googie architecture style, which was popular in the 50s.
Googie?
Yeah, Googie.
G-I-E. Googie. I have never heard that before, and I love it, and I welcome it to my vocabulary.
Yeah, now you'll be Googie obsessed, but it's basically that sort of 50s kitsch style of architecture that was popular that envisions what the future was going to look like.
Like Smeg.
Egg, fridge, and sort of highway, truck stop diner style. I love it. Like, I love modernist stuff in my house, but if you could give me a Googie house, I would definitely... I'll take it. I'd level up to a Googie house. So now I'm going to introduce you to our sign's creator, and this is a woman whose signage career has been nothing short of fabulous, Betty Willis.
Ugh, I love that name.
Well, you're going to love Betty. She is a firecracker. So also a fun little fact is Betty identifies herself as a graphic designer.
Love it.
Just like me and you.
Just like us.
So Betty Willis is the youngest of 8 children, and she grew up in Vegas. So her family is actually one of the pioneering families into Vegas, which I didn't know this was created, a town created in 1905. And she obviously inherited this pioneering spirit as she embarked on a career as a commercial artist, a field which, surprise, surprise, was largely dominated by men in the 50s. So Betty has said most people are surprised when they find out a woman designed the sign. It was a man's business back then. It wasn't a woman's field because when you work with neon signs, you have to not only design them, but you have to learn the nuts and bolts of how neon light and electricity work.
Wow.
So tricky
What
stuff.
a woman.
I love any story where you see a woman from that era go against the grain, and, you know, it takes so much guts to be
a sassy broad in a man's world.
Pretty much. It is that genre. But, you know, I feel like back then as well, like conforming to society's norms was very important. So to be...
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I wonder, I mean, I've obviously got way too much time on my hands to be wondering this, but do you ever wonder what kind of person you'd be back then if you were...
No, I haven't ever, but that's maybe just...
Like, would I be someone who would do my best to conform, or would I...
I'd be a conformist.
I like to think that I'd sit on the fringe, but I think in my heart I'd probably just be a middle-class conformist.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd probably dabble in eccentric behaviour, but ultimately be a conformist. Just like now, doing this podcast. This is my dabbling. So anyway, Betty was not intimidated by this fact. I think she actually enjoyed the fact that it was a sort of male-dominated industry, and she touches on that in a quote I found where she said, "I didn't like working with a bunch of girls. They're inclined to talk."
She wouldn't have liked us.
No, I mean, this is why we're here doing what we're doing, because we can't
Can you
stop.
imagine? Betty would not like our Zoom chats.
No, she'd be like, can we just go back to the neon? Anyway, she was a master of her craft, and she also designed the Moulin Rouge sign for the casino hotel in Vegas that went by that name, not the windmill. And for this project, she spent hours studying French typography before hand drawing the cursive lettering, which I love. Like, you know, back then there was real craft to what you did. You got pen and paper out, which is largely missing today. And I think there's artistry to that. And she was very skilled. But in 2003, an arson fire destroyed the hotel, and the sign, the Moulin Rouge.
The Moulin Rouge?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Moulin Rouge, not the Vegas sign, the Moulin Rouge sign was withstanding, to which Betty remarked, "When I build them, they last."
Oh, so sassy.
Like, she's full of amazing quotes, and I think she was very proud of her craft and what she has done, which rightfully so.
So she should be, yeah.
And I also think, like all good creatives, she was a bit of a perfectionist, because she was quoted saying on the hand-drawn lettering of the word fabulous, she didn't think that was perfect, and today she still sweats blood when she takes a good look at it. So graphic,
oh my
Betty.
God. But also I can so relate to that feeling. Yeah. It's just nothing ever feels 100% done, or...
Yeah, we look for the imperfections, which I guess is probably a good thing, because that's how you're going to improve and get better quality outcomes. So back to the design and how it happened. So the design was commissioned by a salesman called Ted Rodgick. I'm not quite sure what kind of salesman he was, but I think in the 50s that was just like a pretty cool job that spanned many endeavours. And he commissioned Betty for the job because together they believed the city should have some kind of statement, especially seeing there's so much signage and neon sign. Do you know that you can actually see Vegas from space?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's that much neon going on, which is pretty cool. They wanted a statement for when people entered the city. And another little fun fact is they didn't copyright the sign either, because they wanted it to be enjoyed by all.
Oh, they purposely didn't?
Yeah, they said it was a gift to the city. And I have actually benefited from that, because there is, in my history as a designer, I have actually designed something to look like the sign, which was a Bucks Party t-shirt.
Oh.
Of course. What else? And I changed the letters to read out their name.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in your portfolio.
I usually lead with that. Can you imagine? Anyway, Betty...
Between that and your poster.
Yeah.
You've got the job.
Remember, we're doing this podcast to bring in work, Kylie.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Betty, about how you might feel knowing now how infamous the sign is, and you might think, I could have made so much money from this sign. It'd be like buying Bitcoin and forgetting the password. She actually acknowledges herself, which I think is very honourable, that maybe the popularity of the sign is also due to the fact it wasn't copyrighted and it was able to be shared so widely. So that's nice. So I also started thinking, why has this particular sign been so popular aside from the copyright? And I think it is, even though it's not the biggest and most expensive, it cost about $4,000 US to build way back when, which is about $60,000, significantly less than the Gold Coast sign. But I think...
And a lot more impact.
Yeah, more impactful.
A little bit more cultural currency.
I think what it did is it took all the best elements of that Googie trend, which is so like wonderfully novelty and kitsch and fun, but it's still memorable and simple. And Betty said herself that when a logo is successful, people remember it, and it's done a pretty good job. So I thought I would round this story. It's become a bit of a biopic, really, of Betty. Maybe it's ready for a TV movie.
Surely she's the inspiration for some TV character on...
I don't think so, but it's got all the ingredients. Who doesn't love a story of a pioneering woman in the 50s? It's got everything.
And existing in a design trend called Googie, which is like one of the funnest words to say. Yeah. Googie.
It could be called...
Googie Gal.
Coming in 2026.
Yeah, we might cut that.
No. Anyway, I thought I'd round this out with one last stellar Betty quote, which has nothing to do with the sign. It's just her musing on husbands. Not all men, which we know she preferred over women. But in this interview in 2005 in the New York Times, big time, in regards to her 2 divorces, the article writes, Miss Willis enjoyed men as colleagues. Husbands were a different story entirely. Jerks, she exclaimed. The first one drank too much, but he was cute.
She says it like it is.
She doesn't hold back. I will mention that Betty did pass in 2018 at 91 years, but she is immortalised in her iconic Las Vegas sign. She's been described...
I'm glad she had a long, lovely life.
Oh, yeah, and she enjoyed the fame. She really did. She was up and ready for interviews and pictures out the front.
Well deserved.
Yes, she's been described as the birth mother of fabulous, and she definitely is. And as Kylie mentioned, we'll pop a few pictures of her standing proudly in front of her sign on the socials.
Fabulous.
It's a fabulous story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So, on to the creative break. So, I'll give you some clues. This is a lesson in how to completely bomb a rebrand. It's a rebrand that had a response that they were clearly not predicting. So we're going to be in Australia today, and I'm taking us back to October 2022, so fairly recent. Mm-hmm. And the eastern states of Australia are getting absolutely hammered by extreme flooding. So
yes, I do remember that.
Thousands of people displaced, homes and businesses were being destroyed, and lives were being lost. So amid all this chaos, this weather chaos, who do Aussies turn to for reliable weather updates?
The BOM.
That is correct, Miranda. The BOM.
Okay, I'm up to speed now. You're doing the BOM.
So for those of you listening overseas, the BOM stands for the Bureau of Meteorology. But in Australia, everyone calls it the BOM. Yeah. Anytime you want to check the weather, going on a picnic, check the BOM.
I check it multiple times a week because I am that nerd who's like, needs to be in control even of the weather. You don't need to check BOM. You can just ask me.
Yeah. One of my toxic traits is I actually never check the weather.
You know what's sad? We are very different people because I don't even just check Brisbane. I will check what's happening all around. I even know what the weather is in New York today, which is very similar to Brisbane.
Oh.
Which is concerning because we're meant to be having a winter and we're obviously not.
Why do you check New York in particular?
Good question. To make it a little less weird, it's not on my desktop. It is on my phone. And I have places I visited, I'd often put the weather in before I went. Okay. And then they've stayed in my bookmark and I'll just do a little flicky. Okay, it's basically just another way I live out my addiction to my phone.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Another pathway of addiction.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I've done Instagram, I've done Facebook. Time to look at the weather.
Yeah, Australians love to shorten everything. We'll give everything a nickname. So
that is an Australian cultural style.
Yeah, although sometimes it's actually not shorter, like it actually extends it, but usually it is shorter.
Do you have an example?
Now I can't think of one. Like a chippy.
True, we like to put an IE on as well.
Yeah. So we're actually adding a syllable there. But usually like servo.
Yeah, service station. We solved that problem.
Okay, so here's where things get a bit wild. So on October 18th, right in the middle of all of this disaster, so again, thousands of people displaced, floods, we need weather reports, we need to know what's going on. The BOM decides to drop a bombshell.
Don't.
Okay, I think that is my last pun.
You ended on a high note.
They sent out a media release basically saying, hey, guys, we don't like being called BOM anymore. From now on, please refer to us as either the Bureau of Meteorology or just the Bureau.
What are they thinking?
I know. So,
I mean, there's so many things wrong with the timing. The audacity to come at it, this not from what they've done wrong is they came at it from a negative. It was like, we don't like you calling us this, instead of saying this is our new name.
Oh, well, I mean, look, that was me paraphrasing.
Oh, okay.
That was just me putting a bit of a little whiny twist on it.
Yeah.
It was more like, okay, in the face of all of these weather disasters, we want to have more authority. So please refer to us as either the Bureau of Meteorology or the Bureau.
Yeah. But it's still a bit of a telling off.
It's very school mum, like school headmaster, guys, don't call us this anymore. It's too casual. It's too familiar. We want to be known as the Bureau.
And also just the timing.
So the timing could not have been worse. It came off as tone deaf and it completely disconnected from what people actually needed in the moment. So as you can imagine, the internet went nuts, especially Twitter. I think it was still called Twitter then, so I'm just going to call it Twitter because I hate calling it X.
Well, this is a funny we bring that up because Twitter has done the same thing as BOM, which is try and determine what their nickname or change a love name that people feel like a sense of connection with and just be like, oh no, you're going to call us that now, which is even in life not something that people respond that well to.
Yeah, and I think just completely abandoning all the brand equity and that brand love and familiarity, like that's something money can't buy.
Yeah, I think a renaming for a big organisation is a little bit different, and there has to be so much consideration into
and strategy on your rollout, which clearly, as you will see, this did not have.
No.
I've got a few points of why this went badly. Obviously, the timing was terrible. Trying to tell, especially a bunch of Australians, what to call you, that also did not go down well. But to make matters worse, so I think for me this is the biggest part. Well, the timing obviously is the biggest part of the fail, but this is probably the funniest bit. So in the media release, BOM announced new Twitter handles they had planned for this rollout for their national and state accounts. So they were going to be the Bureau and then the Bureau New South Wales, the Bureau ACT, etc. The problem, they hadn't actually secured those handles yet. So literally within minutes, the available ones, because I hadn't even checked if they were available. So like a furniture maker had the Bureau and then within minutes all the state ones were taken up by opportunistic Twitter users.
So they announced the name.
Yes, with the Twitter handles that they wanted to use.
But they hadn't secured them. So then people could take them.
Yes.
I mean, I can't understand.
I know. So people snapped them up and then held them ransom.
Excellent.
Which is just adds to this. I mean, the ethics of when people are in dire straits with flooding and you're holding the Bureau of Meteorology ransom with a Twitter handle is like by the by, but we're just going to park that because actually
I'm going to focus on the ransom story.
I got to focus on the ransom story because it's quite funny. So the Bureau New South Wales was held by a user, and I appreciate his commitment. I don't know whether he changed his handle. I'm going to assume that he did and that he didn't just happen to have this, but his Twitter handle was I am da BOM. So I am
so good.
I mean, the quick thinkingness of these people, it's so funny.
It's so good. And it just makes it even more viral.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am da BOM tweeted at BOM and said, attention Bureau of Meteorology. I'll give you a Twitter handle back if you meet 3 simple demands. I want 1, a weather balloon. In brackets, we'll settle for a regular balloon.
Oh,
Number 2, a signed photo of sunrise weatherman Sam Mack.
Nice.
Number 3, the power to manipulate the weather, just like Halle Berry in X-Men.
Amazing. The construction of that entire ransom note is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. Overall, that's really quite an insight. And again, your story. This project was $220,000, which in terms of a rebrand for a government agency like this is not a wild amount of money. Like that's fair, but just to think of all the time that's going to be a lot of research, a lot of people, a lot of eyes on the project, and that no one thought to check the Twitter handles, A, were available, and B, secure them, lock them down, baby.
I think it's like as well, for me, we've talked up front, that's a cross your T's and dot your I's situation. But I think as well, sort of the lack of insight, it's like they wanted to be called something cool, like the Bureau, which does sound cool, right? I mean, it sounds authoritative, sounds like they know what they're talking about, which they should because they're weather, but lacked the insight that you're just not allowed to choose your own nickname.
Exactly. So that does bring me to my next point, is that you absolutely cannot pick your own nickname. And if you try, you will regret it, as BOM did.
It's actually the human condition. You get gifted a nickname.
You do. And there's nothing that you can do about it. And if you don't like it and you fight it, it's even worse.
Yeah, well, I have my own high school tale of a nickname, an unwanted nickname. And I know that I did deal with it with grace and dignity, and I accepted it. And so Miranda, my name.
It's quite difficult to shorten.
It's not your common, you got Mandy. I think Manda.
Mandy.
And Manda was what I was advocating for. But
I only ever really call you M, but only in written conversation, not...
Yes.
I don't think I've ever called you anything except for Miranda.
It's a 3-syllable name that doesn't have a direct channel of shortening, which is difficult for the people.
Or lengthening.
Exactly.
Which can sometimes go the other way.
Mirandarella. Anyway, my moniker that was gifted to me by the Year 10 Wellington Girls Collegiate was Randy.
Oh, Randy.
And yeah, I didn't fight it. I went with it.
Did you?
Yeah, it was actually it's funny with a nickname because you can look back in your past and you have different eras of a nickname. And so I had also I probably should mention that my name back then was Bruce. So my other nickname of that era of a 16-year-old girl was Randy and Brucey, which sound kind of more like a 50-year-old middle-aged man from America.
Drinking your Bud, but not Bud Light.
Yeah.
Drinking your Bud.
Yeah, exactly. Not my passion pop, which was more the accurate of the era. But yeah, so Randy was my 16-year-old to probably 20. But a funny sort of little evolution of the nickname is I then worked in a shoe store where I still was called Randy. And then that got lengthened to Randy Pants, which then got shortened to Pants. So 2 years in my 20s, people called me Pants. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like nicknames evolve. Yep. Did you ever have a cute little nickname?
So I...
Gifted to you?
Nothing really that dramatic, but I was called Possum by my family.
Cute.
And I grew up in a suburb called North Rocks.
Yeah.
So my dad would call me Princess Poss of North Rocks.
Love that. That was the long version. That's
the long version.
So sweet. Princess Paul.
But my younger sister, did not get given a nickname, but when she was little, so I guess the story actually works in reverse of what I was saying, that you can't pick your own nicknames, because it was like one of those very iconic family moments. She walked into the room one day and was really cranky and said, right, from now on, I want all of you to call me Squirrel.
Oh, it's so cute.
Which is so cute.
But then also it's got that little sister energy where you get possum bestowed on you by your family, and little sister has to advocate for squirrel. I get this being a little sister.
So, but I guess what actually did happen then is that we were like, right, you're Squirrel. And like possum kind of dropped off, but we still call Beck Squirrel. Squizzle.
But you know what is true? Do you know what does stay true? Is she probably doesn't want it anymore, does she?
Up until recently, we were buying her squirrel paraphernalia.
Oh, she would have loved that. I mean, no one wants a Mecca voucher. You just want a little squirrel ornament.
Well, I would have kept going, but her husband had an intervention with us.
Do you know that?
Like, no more squirrels. We cannot have any more squirrels in our house. But anyway, it is a nickname law.
Yes. You can't choose your own, and it can backfire dramatically.
Yeah, and if you do, it can backfire.
And it backfired on, to bring it back to branding, BOM.
Yes. So BOM, with this, rebrand, had very little sister energy, we might say.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So look, literally a couple of days later, BOM backtracked. They issued another statement saying people could call them whatever they wanted, including the BOM. The visual side of the rebrand, I'm not going to focus too much on. It didn't make much of I do have another pun, didn't make much of a splash. But anyway, the new logo is, perfectly fine, but they just didn't launch it. And as far as I can see, it hasn't really been applied anywhere much. I saw it on their YouTube channel. I saw the brand mark on their Instagram, but it's not been rolled out. So it's a big old mess, really.
I love the idea of someone just being in the boardroom one day and just saying, like, they've just had enough. Like, they just hate the BOM. They hate being called the BOM. We're going to the Bureau and it's happening today.
Yeah.
And then someone else being like,
it reeks of upper management, doesn't it? And not actually scientists and the people actually predicting the weather, who are actually like on the front lines of this.
Yeah,
it reeks of upper management having a tantrum.
Yeah, because they feel like it's just not representative of the serious nature of the work. But what they forgot is they are the BOM, and Australia loves them for that.
So look, one more pun for you.
Hit it.
Instead of strengthening their identity and connecting better with their audience, BOM's rebrand really missed the mark and caused a hailstorm of negative public attention. That's it from me.
That was beautifully put.
Well, on that note, that's it for today.
Over and out. Hope you tune in to episode 2.
Bye. And so ends another expedition into the lands of brands and design. We hope you loved it as much as we love creating it. If you did, we would love you to follow us so you never miss an episode, and to help other people find us.
If you're interested in learning more about creating brands, we have a free brand strategy workbook you can download from our website, 3blocksleft.com.au.
Until next time, stay on the Odyssey, brave creatives. Bye.